I'm 73 years old, and 3 weeks ago, my children put me in a nursing home. Yesterday, I stood outside the activities room and listened to my daughter Jennifer discuss which pieces of my furniture she wanted, while my son Michael argued about who should get my mother's china. They thought I was napping. They thought I couldn't hear. But I heard every single word. And in that moment, I realized my children had been waiting for me to die long before they ever checked me into Meadowbrook Senior Living. I'm not writing this for sympathy. I'm writing this because I need to understand how I raised two people who could stand in a hallway and divide up my life like I was already gone. Let me back up. My name is Margaret, and until a month ago, I lived in the same house in suburban Cleveland where I raised Jennifer and Michael. My husband Robert died 6 years ago from a heart attack. Sudden, cruel, the kind of loss that splits your life into before and after. We'd been married 47 years. He was my best friend, my partner in everything. And when he died, a piece of me went with him. But I survived. I kept the house. I kept my routines. Tuesday mornings at the library, Thursday afternoons volunteering at the food bank, Saturday brunches with my friend Donna. I drove myself everywhere in the same Honda Civic Robert bought me in 2015. I paid my bills on time, kept my garden weeded, and made a pot roast every Sunday, even though it was just for me. Was I lonely? Of course. Was I slowing down? Maybe. But I was living, damn it. I was still here. Then I fell. It was stupid, really. I was reaching for a serving platter on the top shelf, lost my balance, and went down hard on my kitchen floor. Broke my hip. The pain was extraordinary, white-hot and all-consuming. I managed to call 911, and they rushed me to Cleveland Clinic. Surgery, physical therapy, 6 weeks of recovery that felt like 6 years. Jennifer flew in immediately from Boston. Michael drove up from Columbus. They were attentive at first, visiting every day, bringing flowers and magazines. Jennifer organized my medications. Michael dealt with the insurance paperwork. I was grateful. I truly was. "Mom, you can't live alone anymore," Jennifer said one evening, perched on the edge of my hospital bed. She was wearing her lawyer clothes, sharp blazer, perfect makeup, the armor she put on for difficult conversations. This was a wake-up call. "I'll be fine once I finish physical therapy," I told her. "Dr. Morrison said I should have full mobility in 3 months. "Mom," Michael's voice was gentle but firm. He has his father's eyes, deep brown and serious. "What if you fall again? What if next time you can't reach the phone?" I wanted to argue, but there was logic in their concern. The fear had crossed my mind too, lying on that cold kitchen floor, wondering if I'd die there before anyone found me. "We've been researching places," Jennifer continued, pulling out her iPad. "Really nice facilities. Meadowbrook has excellent reviews. 24-hour care, activities, other people your age to socialize with." "A nursing home." The words felt like ash in my mouth. "An assisted living community," Michael corrected, as if semantics changed anything. They wore me down over days. I was tired, in pain, frightened of being alone. They made it sound temporary, just until I was stronger, just until we were sure I was safe. They used words like transition and adjustment period. They never once used the word permanent. I should have fought harder. That's what haunts me now. Meadowbrook Senior Living sits on a manicured property in Shaker Heights, all red brick and white columns, designed to look stately rather than institutional. My apartment is really just a room, bedroom area, small sitting space,
tiny bathroom. They let me bring some furniture. My reading chair, Robert's desk, a few photographs in frames. Most of my things, my whole life, stayed in the house. "We'll sort through everything slowly," Jennifer promised. "No rush. We'll keep the house for now." That was 3 weeks ago. The adjustment was harder than I expected. The staff is kind, but impersonal. My neighbors are pleasant, but many are confused, lost in the fog of dementia. The activities director, a cheerful woman named Brenda, who can't be older than 30, keeps trying to get me to join chair yoga and memory games. I'm not confused. I'm not ready to sit in a circle and toss a beach ball while someone calls out states and capitals. I'm just alone. Jennifer visits on weekends. Michael comes every other week. They bring pastries from my favorite bakery and talk about their lives. Jennifer's latest case, Michael's daughter's soccer tournament. They ask how I'm adjusting. I lie and say it's fine because what else can I say? That I wake up at night disoriented, reaching for familiar walls that aren't there? That I miss my garden with an ache that feels physical? Yesterday afternoon, I told the nurse I was going to rest before dinner. I do this sometimes, lie in the semi-darkness and pretend I'm somewhere else. But I couldn't sleep, so I got up to walk the halls. Movement helps. It's what the physical therapist taught me. That's when I heard their voices coming from the activities room down the corridor. The door was ajar. I recognized Jennifer's tone immediately. Crisp, businesslike, the voice she uses when making decisions. I'm just saying, the dining room set was Mom and Dad's wedding gift from Grandma Helen. It should stay in the family. I have room for it in Boston. You have room because you have a 5-bedroom house. Linda and I are in a 3-bedroom ranch. But we're the ones who live close enough to check on her. That should count for something. I froze in the hallway, one hand pressed against the wall for balance. This isn't a negotiation, Mike. I want the dining set, the china cabinet, and Mother's jewelry. You can have Dad's tools and the living room furniture. The jewelry should be divided equally. There are pieces our daughters might want someday. My heart was hammering. I stood there, unable to move, unable to breathe properly. They were dividing my possessions, not someday in the distant future, but now, right now. We need to list the house by spring. The market's good, and honestly, the maintenance costs don't make sense. Property taxes alone are eating money that could go toward her care here. "Does she know you're planning to sell?" Mike asked. There was a pause. "We'll tell her when the time is right. She's still adjusting. No point upsetting her before we have to." I must have made a sound, a gasp or a sob, because Jennifer suddenly called out, "Mom, is that you?" I should have confronted them. I should have walked into that room and demanded answers. Instead, I turned and walked as quickly as my healing hip would allow back to my room. I closed the door, sat in Robert's desk chair, and shook.
They came to find me 20 minutes later, all smiles and casual conversation, as if nothing had happened. Jennifer brought coffee. Michael asked about my physical therapy progress. Neither mentioned the house, or my furniture, or their plans to erase the life I'd built. I played along. I smiled. I accepted the coffee. And when they left, I sat alone in the growing darkness and cried harder than I had since Robert's funeral. If you're invested in what happens next, please hit that like button and subscribe. It means the world to me and helps me share more stories like this. Now, back to what happened. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying their words, their casual cruelty. Not the anger. I could have understood anger, frustration with an aging parent who'd become a burden. But the indifference, the pure transactional nature of it. I was a problem to be managed, an estate to be liquidated. I thought about calling them, confronting them, but what would I say? And would it change anything? Instead, I started thinking about my life, really thinking about it, with the kind of clarity that comes from heartbreak. I'd been a good mother, not perfect, no one is, but devoted. I'd attended every school play, every soccer game. I'd stayed up late helping with science projects and college applications. I'd supported Jennifer through law school, helped with Michael's down payment on his first house. When their father died, I'd told them to live their lives, not to worry about me, that I was fine. Maybe that was my mistake. Maybe I'd convinced them too well. But there was something else, something I'd been avoiding acknowledging. In the past few years, our relationships had shifted. Visits became shorter, less frequent. Phone calls turned into texts. They were busy. Careers, families, the demands of middle age. I understood that. But when did I stop being a person to them and become an obligation? When had they started waiting for me to die? The thought was ugly, but I couldn't shake it, and lying there in my narrow bed at Meadowbrook, listening to someone down the hall cry out in confusion, I realized something. I wasn't dead. I wasn't dying. I'd broken my hip, yes, but I was healing. I was 73, not 93. My mind was sharp. My heart still worked, damaged as it was. And I was done letting my children write the ending to my story. The next morning, I called my lawyer. Well, not my lawyer, Robert's lawyer, a man named Peter Clemens, who'd handled our estate planning. I hadn't spoken to him since Robert's funeral, but he remembered me. "Margaret, it's good to hear from you. What can I do for you?" "I need to know what rights I have," I said, "regarding my house, my assets, my life." There was a pause. "Are you in some kind of trouble?" "I don't know yet, but I need to understand my situation clearly." We talked for 40 minutes. Peter was patient, thorough. He explained that since I hadn't been declared incompetent, all my assets remained under my control. The house was in my name, my savings accounts, my investments, all mine. Jennifer and Michael had no legal authority over any of it unless I gave it to them, or unless I was judged unable to manage my own affairs.
"Did someone suggest otherwise?" Peter asked carefully. "No, but I think someone's planning to make decisions without consulting me. Margaret, if you're concerned about undue influence or feel you were coerced into your current living situation, we can address that. You have options." Options. The word felt revolutionary. After we hung up, I sat with my phone in my hands for a long time. Then I called Donna, my Thursday coffee friend, the woman who'd known me for 35 years. "Mags!" Her voice was warm, familiar. "I was just thinking about you. How are you, honey?" I told her everything. The overheard conversation, my fears, my sudden understanding that I'd let myself be put away like an old coat no one wanted to wear anymore. "Come stay with me," Donna said immediately. "I've got the space, and God knows I could use the company. Tom and I rattle around this house like marbles in a shoebox." "Donna, I can't impose." "Impose? Margaret, you helped me through Tom's cancer treatment. You brought us dinner 3 times a week for 6 months. You held my hand at every oncology appointment. Don't talk to me about imposing." Something cracked open in my chest. Hope, maybe? Or just the realization that I had people who saw me as more than a problem to solve. Let me think about it. But thank you for everything. That afternoon, I went to group activities for the first time. Not chair yoga, I wasn't quite there yet, but there was a book club discussing a novel I'd actually read. I sat in the circle, listened to other residents discuss themes and characters, and contributed my own thoughts. It felt good. Normal. Human. Afterward, a woman named Carol approached me. She was probably in her early 80s, sharp-eyed and stylish in a way that spoke of a life fully lived. She said, "You're new. How are you holding up?" "I'm managing," I said carefully. "Good. Because I've seen people come here and just give up. Stop fighting. Stop living. Don't do that." "I'm trying not to." "Try harder." She patted my arm. "We're not dead yet, sweetheart. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." I thought about Carol's words for days. I thought about Donna's offer. I thought about my house sitting empty, my garden growing wild, my life in boxes waiting to be distributed between children who'd already moved on. And I made a decision. On Saturday, when Jennifer arrived for her weekly visit, I was ready. "Mom, you look good," she said, settling into the chair across from me. "The staff says you've been participating more. I'm so glad." "I know about the house," I said quietly. Her smile froze. "What?" "I heard you and Michael last week discussing my furniture, planning to sell the house, dividing up my things." The color drained from her face. "Mom, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly." My voice was steady, calm. "You thought I was asleep or confused or too weak to matter. You were wrong. We were just planning ahead, being practical. The house is too much work, too much expense." "For whom? It's my house, Jennifer. My money, my life." "You can't take care of it anymore." "Maybe not alone, but that's my decision to make, not yours." She stood up, agitated. "This is ridiculous. You fell, you broke your hip, you were lying on the floor, unable to help yourself. So you put me away." The words came out harder than I intended. Like I was already gone. That's not fair. Isn't it? I met her eyes. "You and Michael stood in that hallway and discussed my jewelry, my furniture, selling my home, all while I was living and alive down the hall. How was that fair?" Jennifer's face crumpled. For a moment, she looked young again, uncertain. "Mom, we're just trying to do what's best." "For whom? Be honest. Is this best for me, or is it easiest for you?" She sat back down, her hands shaking. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered. "Dad's gone. You're getting older. I'm terrified something will happen and I won't be there. I'm terrified of losing you too."
And there it was. Beneath the coldness, beneath the planning and dividing and deciding, fear. The same fear I'd felt lying on my kitchen floor. "So, you're losing me in advance?" I said gently. "Putting me somewhere safe where you don't have to worry? Where you can control what happens?" She wiped her eyes. "Maybe." "Jennifer, I'm not going to live forever. Neither are you. But I'm not ready to stop living yet. Do you understand? I'm not ready." We sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, Jennifer looked up. "What do you want, Mom?" "I want to go home. Maybe not to live alone. Maybe I need help, a companion, something. But I want to go home. I want to decide what happens to my things, when to sell my house, how to spend whatever time I have left. I want my life back." "And if we can't support that?" The question hung between us, heavy with implications. "Then I'll do it anyway," I said. "I have friends. I have resources. I'm not helpless, even if I'm not young anymore." Jennifer was quiet for a long time. Then she nodded slowly. "I need to call Michael. We need to talk, the three of us. Really talk. I'd like that." She stood to leave, then paused at the door. "Mom, I'm sorry for making you feel like you didn't matter. You're my mother. You'll always matter. I know, honey, but you forgot for a while, and I let you forget." After she left, I sat in Robert's chair and looked out the window at Meadowbrook's carefully maintained grounds. Someone was walking a small dog. Another resident sat on a bench.
face turned toward the weak November sun. I thought about Carol's words, "We're not dead yet." I thought about Donna's offer, about Peter's assurance that I had options, about the garden I'd planted that was probably dormant now but would bloom again in spring if someone tended it. I thought about Robert, who would have been furious at our children for putting me here, who would have fought tooth and nail to keep me home, keep me living. And I thought about myself, Margaret Catherine Morrison, 73 years old, widowed, temporarily broken but not destroyed, not finished, not ready to fade away. The meeting with Jennifer and Michael happened 2 days later. Michael was defensive at first, angry that I'd eavesdropped on a private conversation. But as we talked, really talked, maybe for the first time in years, the defensiveness cracked. "You scared us, Mom," he admitted finally. "When you fell. When we got that call from the hospital. I've never been so terrified in my life." I was terrified too, but fear isn't a reason to stop living. We worked out a plan. Not their plan, not entirely my plan, but something in between. I would move into Donna's guest suite for now. She had a first-floor bedroom with an attached bath, perfect for my mobility needs. We'd keep the house for 6 months while I decided what I really wanted. Jennifer agreed to help arrange for a home health aide if I decided to return. Michael would help sort through belongings, but at my pace, with my decisions. "What about Meadowbrook?" Jennifer asked. "We paid for 3 months." "I'm leaving," I said firmly. "Today, if possible." It took 4 hours to pack my few belongings, handle the paperwork, and settle accounts. Brenda, the activities director, seemed genuinely sad to see me go. "You were just starting to settle in," she said. "I was settling for something I didn't want," I corrected gently. "There's a difference." Donna picked me up herself, driving up in her ancient Volvo wagon with a thermos of coffee and a bag of my favorite bakery cookies. Michael and Jennifer had already left, promising to check on me tomorrow. The subtext clear: this is your choice. Your responsibility. I was fine with that. As we drove away from Meadowbrook, past the manicured lawns and red brick buildings, I felt something loosening in my chest. Not relief exactly, not victory, something quieter. Recognition, maybe. A reclaiming. "You okay, Donna?" I asked, glancing over. "Getting there. For a while I forgot I was still alive." "And now?" I looked out the window at Cleveland passing by. Ordinary streets, ordinary houses, ordinary people living ordinary lives. Beautiful in its ordinariness. Now I remember. It's been 2 months since I left Meadowbrook. I'm writing this from Donna's sunroom, where I've set up Robert's desk facing the garden. My hip is nearly healed. I walk every morning, slowly but steadily. I've started volunteering at the food bank again. Donna and I have coffee every morning and watch game shows every evening, arguing about answers and laughing at our shared stubbornness. I haven't decided about the house yet. Some days I think I'll sell it, move somewhere smaller, maybe a condo near Jennifer or Michael. Other days I dream about returning, hiring help, living out my years in the space where I raised my children and loved my husband. But here's what I know now. It's my choice, my life, my decision. Jennifer visits monthly. We're rebuilding something. Not what we had before, but maybe something more honest. Michael calls weekly, and last weekend he brought his daughter to visit. She's 15, curious about everything, and she asked questions about my life I haven't thought about in years. What was Grandpa like when he was young? She wanted to know. And I told her stories. Long, detailed stories about the man her grandfather was, the life we built, the mistakes we made, and the joys we shared. She listened, really listened. And I realized I'd been so focused on not being a burden that I'd forgotten I had things worth sharing. I don't know how many good years I have left. Could be 5, could be 20.
But however many there are, they're mine. Not my children's to manage or control or wait through. Mine to live. To anyone reading this, who feels put away, forgotten, reduced to a problem someone else needs to solve, you're not dead yet. You're not finished. And you have more power than you think. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Not even people who love you. Especially not people who love you.